April 11th, 2024, beginning our day. Did the Sudana Center program, second Wednesday of each month. So the first program of this year, did Sudana Center last night, 7 p.m. And before that, did an interview with Ajahn Kovilo, Ajahn Nisabo, and they wanted to ask me about woodworking, doing woodworking as a monk, woodworking in the monastery, and how to use that for practice. And I think what I ended up talking about is, and it partly sparked the talk in the evening, was just, one is getting close to nature, noticing the properties of trees, the properties of wood. And Ajahn Kovilo, then he wanted to know what type of tree he was, that I thought he was. So I thought he was a buckeye. And he actually was like, wow, that's right. He actually thought I was right. So he's from the Buckeye State of Ohio. I did not know that was the Buckeye State. But anyway, trees and wood and getting close to nature. So it's good to, whatever we do, say during the work period, going about our duties and tasks for the day, looking after the monastery, it's good to know that we can only get a finite amount of work done in looking after the monastery. And if we really integrate it into our practice, then it can be quite enjoyable, and we can actually maintain our state of peace, peaceful mind, equanimity, no matter what we're doing, if we have the right attitude about it, and that we're able to do our task, put our heart into the activity, and then to set it down when the time comes, and be able to, not just to try to finish as much as we can, set it down and then run to the meal, but actually to be able to set it down in a way that we can walk in a leisurely way to the mealtime. And then if something is left unfinished, we can walk leisurely to the meal. Then after the meal, we can leisurely walk back and clean up what we maybe didn't quite finish or weren't able to put away. So conducting ourselves in a way that we're able to maintain a state of equanimity throughout the day, and that's quite important. So if we do some work and we just try to get as much done until 10:59 and then throw it all down, throw our robe on, and then run to the mealtime, then we're going to relate to other things in that way too. That's how we're going to end up relating to everything. So really to try to, this is one part of just practical time management, but also it's a big part of practice, is learning how to float into each situation, or skillfully enter into each situation, and to know that we're doing this just for the sake of our practice. It's not necessarily the case that we need to get a long laundry list of things done, and then get that kind of brief hit of contentment when we can cross something off of a list, because the list will just keep growing, so it'll never really be finished. And it's like when Venerable Anuruddha was thinking about ordaining, and because he was brought up in very luxurious surroundings, and he never really had to work before. So when he was when his friends and his relatives and his people he lived with were going to ordain, he said, well, I don't want to ordain. This is really comfortable. I like my life how it is. And then he said, okay, well, you can look after the fields now, because we're all going to ordain. And so he said, well, what does that mean? And his friend says, do you know where rice comes from? And he says, yes, it comes from the plate. Rice comes from the plate. And he says, no, it has to be grown, and you have to do this and that, and your father did the same thing, and your father's father did the same thing, and all of your relatives, back as far as we can see, died, and their work still wasn't finished, and the work is never finished. And then he says, wait, I'm going to ordain too. So then he decides to ordain. So just knowing how to be able to set things down is an important quality to develop. With that for reflection.